This meditative bedtime journey explores the astonishing relationship between your gut and your mind, the microbiome-brain connection. As your eyes grow heavy and your breath slows, you'll travel through the warm corridors of your own body, where trillions of bacteria whisper secrets, influence emotions, and shape your very sense of self. This is not fiction. This is the poetry of biology, gentle, wondrous, and deeply personal. You lie in bed, the room dim and quiet. Your breath is slow now. Your muscles loosen their grip on the day. But deep inside you, below your chest and behind your navel, something ancient is awake. Not your mind, but a different intelligence. One that doesn't think in words or images. It moves in pulses and signals, in the soft chemistry of your inner sea. It lives in the warm coil of your intestines, a place where trillions of tiny lives are whispering back and forth. To the brain behind your eyes, you have two minds. One you've always known, the thinking one, the remembering one, the one that wonders who you are, but the other, the silent one, lives in the twists and folds of your gut. It has no voice, but it hums in rhythm with your body. And tonight, you will listen. This second brain, called the enteric nervous system, is a dense lace of neurons woven into the walls of your digestive tract. It contains more nerve cells than your spinal cord, more than in some animals' actual brains. It doesn't just help you digest food. It senses, reacts, remembers, and even feels in its own way. It doesn't dream, but it shapes your dreams. It doesn't speak, but it sends signals that shape whether you feel calm or anxious, hopeful or heavy, rested or restless. You feel it sometimes a flutter before a first meeting, a tightness during fear, a warmth when you laugh too hard. That's not just emotion echoing in your belly. That's your belly helping to create emotion. Scientists call this connection the gut-brain axis, a two-way road, a slow river of messages flowing between your head and your core, through nerves, through hormones, through tiny molecules called neurotransmitters. Your gut speaks. And who's doing the talking? Not just your own cells, but guests, microscopic ones, unseen companions that live inside you, not just in your gut, but of your gut. They are bacteria, and they are alive. You carry them by the trillions, more of them than stars in the night sky, more of them, even, than human cells. You are not just you. You are a colony, a complex, pulsing ecosystem wrapped in skin. These bacteria digest your food. Yes, but they do more than that. They talk to your neurons. They shape your appetite. They help build the molecules that lift your mood. They're not just passengers. They are co-pilots and in your gut. These microorganisms make up what science calls the microbiome, a vast, shifting community with its own balance, its own weather, its own language. Some of these microbes encourage peace. They help produce serotonin, the chemical of contentment. In fact, about 90% of your body's serotonin is made in the gut, not the brain. Others help you feel alert. They shape your immune system. They even send signals that can affect memory and learning. Your gut, then, is not just digestion, it is conversation. When you feel anxious, your gut tightens. But sometimes, when your gut is inflamed or unbalanced, anxiety rises first. From below, a mood may begin as a whisper in your belly. Imagine that. A molecule born in the dark curl of your colon, traveling upward, crossing barriers, knocking softly on the doors of your brain, and the brain answers. It shifts, it feels, it changes. This is how the gut speaks, and the brain listens. Your second brain doesn't solve math problems, but it solves something deeper, the daily choreography of emotion and hunger, fear and trust, waking and sleeping. Even your dreams are touched by what your microbes decide to send in some ways. You are dreaming with more than one mind. Lie. There now, feel the quiet in your belly. Can you sense it, the gentle intelligence there? Not a thought exactly, but a hum. A presence. It is you, and it is more than you. Scientists only began to truly understand this relationship in recent decades. For centuries, we believed the brain ruled all, that emotion came from the mind alone, that the gut was a machine, nothing more than pipes and acid. But now we know better. Now we see that what happens in your belly shapes what happens in your soul. Children with certain disorders have different microbial profiles. People recovering from depression sometimes show changes in their gut flora. The line between mind and body is no line at all, but a tide, rising and falling, flowing in both directions, and so you breathe, you rest, and in your belly, a city stirs. It is alive, it is listening, and it may be dreaming too. As you begin this journey inward, know this, your emotions are not yours alone. They are co-written by nerve, by bacteria, by breath, by memory. There is more to explore. There is a garden within you, lush and humming, growing in patterns older than language, and next you will walk through it. There is a garden inside you, a hidden landscape blooming beneath your ribs, not with petals or bark, but with organisms so small they drift between cells like pollen on a breeze. This garden is your microbiome, a symphony of bacteria, viruses, fungi, archaea, and more, each living in a place where light never touches, but life thrives anyway. You can't see them, but they're everywhere inside you, on your tongue, between your teeth, down the soft pipe of your throat, in the folds of your stomach, and most of all, within the long, winding tunnels of your intestines, the garden's richest soil. Here trillions of organisms coexist in delicate balance. Like a rainforest, they compete, collaborate, grow, fade, and bloom in unison. You are their habitats, and they are your silent allies. This garden wasn't always there. It began with your first breath, your first touch, your first drop of milk. As a newborn, your gut was a clean canvas, empty, untouched. But the moment you were born, life rushed in. If you were born through your mother's birth canal, your face and mouth were coated in bacteria from her skin, her fluids, her body's own inner garden. If you were born by caesarean section, your first microbes may have come instead from the hands that held you, the hospital air, the surfaces. You met Anne from there, your microbiome grew. Every cuddle, every kiss, every meal was a seed. Breast milk carried more than just nutrients. It delivered specific bacteria and sugars that fed only certain microbes. It was like planting flowers that attract only particular bees. Even the way you were held, the dirt on your skin, the animals in your home, all helped shape the early soil of your internal world. And as you grew, so did your garden. Every bite of food was a signal. Every laugh, every fever, every night of sleep or stress, a shift in the weather. By age 3, your microbiome resembled that of an adult. But it never stopped changing. It adapts constantly to what you eat, how you live, where you travel, what you fear, and how you rest. Within your intestines, different regions host different life. The small intestine, with its faster flow and higher acidity, hosts microbes that can handle the rush. The large intestine, dark, slow, and dense, is the rainforest floor, thick with fiber-feeding bacteria, munching through the leftovers of digestion. There are over 1,000 species living inside you. Some are well known, like lactobacillus, which helps digest sugars, or bifidobacterium, which thrives on plant fibers and calms inflammation. Others are still a mystery, unnamed, unmapped, quiet passengers waiting to be understood. Each one plays a role. Some produce short-chain fatty acids that nourish your gut lining. Others help train your immune system to tell friend from foe. Some create vitamins like B12 and K2. Some help digest complex starches you couldn't break down on your own. They talk to each other using chemical signals. They form biofilms, slick communities that stick together, protecting each other, and sometimes you. They build relationships as complex as any village, but not all are peaceful, just as weeds can invade a field. Opportunistic microbes can overgrow. They thrive when balance is lost after antibiotics, stress, poor diet, or illness. This is called dysbiosis, when the garden becomes unruly, too many of one kind, too few of another, and the signals change. You might feel it as bloating, fatigue, mood swings, or even foggy thinking. The garden whispers, and the brain hears, but balance can return. With the right care, diversity can be restored, not by force, but with nourishment. Fiber, the unsung hero of the microbial world, feeds the good gardeners. Colorful vegetables, whole grains, fermented foods, they scatter seeds across your inner soil. Probiotics, like those in yogurt, kefir sauerkraut, can bring new guests to your microbial table. Prebiotics, fibers your body can't digest, but your bacteria love, are like compost for the right species. Even rest helps. Even laughter. Even slowness. This is not a battle. It's a tending. Your gut is not sterile. It is sacred. And the more species live together in harmony, the more resilient the system becomes. Diversity is strength, just like in a rainforest, or a coral reef, or a library. Each species brings a different talent. One might break down toxins. Another might calm inflammation. Another might speak directly to your neurons. The more varied your inner forest, the better your chances of well-being. But here's the wonder. No two gardens are the same. Your microbiome is uniquely yours, as personal as a fingerprint. It reflects your history, your geography, your habits, your memories. It holds the imprint of the land you grew up on, the spices your family used, the pets you played with, the illnesses you overcame. It is your biological autobiography written, not in ink, but in organisms, and it is still being written right now. As you lie here breathing, your garden shifts ever so slightly. A few bacteria rise in number, others fade. They respond to your last meal, your stress levels, even your thoughts. Yes, your emotions affect them, just as they affect your emotions. You are not separate from this world within. You are its host, its caretaker, its atmosphere, and so you tend it with every choice you make. Not perfectly, not always gently, but faithfully. In return, it tends to you, digesting, protecting, communicating, balancing. This garden loves rhythm. It flourishes with care. And, like any true garden, it teaches patience. It doesn't bloom in a day, but it remembers kindness. And as you listen more closely, you begin to sense that the microbes in your gut are not just living there. They are learning you, responding to you, becoming, in a way, a part of who you are. A person is not one being. A person is a chorus. And in the quiet now, as you float between thought and sleep, you begin to feel that chorus singing. It is soft, it is old, and it is very much alive. But how does this living forest talk to your mind? What are the messages it sends? And how does your brain understand a whisper that was never spoken aloud? That is the language of chemicals. Invisible letters written by bacteria, read by neurons, and felt by you as emotion, as craving, as rest. And that language is what you'll explore next. There is a language inside you that has no alphabet, no grammar, no voice, and yet it never stops speaking. Your gut, deep in the warm coils of your belly, sends messages, not as words, but as molecules, tiny shapes, chemical letters, invisible, but powerful enough to change how you feel, how you act, how you see the world. The brain listens, but it listens in a way that doesn't involve thinking. It listens through receptors, tiny locks that wait for just the right key. And what are the keys? Neurotransmitters, hormones, fatty acids, immune molecules, bacterial fragments. They drift upward from the gut like steam from warm earth. They follow blood vessels and nerve pathways until they arrive at the mind. And once they're there, they begin to shape what you call emotion. You've felt this already. You eat a heavy meal, and your body quiets. You drink coffee, and your mind races. You feel stress, and your stomach clenches. These are not coincidences. They are conversations. One of the most important messages is serotonin. It is often called the happiness chemical, but it does more than lift mood. It helps regulate sleep, appetite, memory, and digestion itself. Surprisingly, about 90% of your body's serotonin is made not in your brain, but in your gut. And who helps make it? Your microbes. Certain bacteria help produce compounds that stimulate the cells lining your gut to release serotonin. In this way, your microbiome helps compose the emotional music you experience each day. Another familiar messenger is dopamine, linked to motivation, reward, and pleasure. While much of dopamine's action is in the brain, its precursors, the raw ingredients, are influenced by what happens in your gut. Amino acids from digested food, processed by gut bacteria, can shape dopamine's rhythm. Then there's GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, a calming neurotransmitter. It slows brain activity, helps with anxiety, and soothes overexcited nerves. Some gut bacteria produce GABA directly. Others encourage its release. Even your immune system, with its waves of inflammation or ease, is touched by microbial hands. Inflammation itself can act like a messenger, telling the brain that something is wrong, and the brain listens, sometimes interpreting that signal as fatigue, low mood, or restlessness. So when the gut is inflamed, the mind may feel uneasy, as if it, too, were trying to heal. But how do these signals travel? The most direct path is through the vagus nerve, a vast superhighway that runs from brainstem to belly. It carries messages in both directions, from head to gut, and from gut to head. It's a rope between your thoughts and your digestion, a two-lane road paved in biology. Your microbiome can influence the traffic on this road. Some bacteria can stimulate the vagus nerve, sending quiet electrical pulses that reach the brain, like distant thunder. Studies in animals have shown that stimulating the vagus nerve can reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. Some therapies now use gentle electrical stimulation of this nerve as a treatment, but your body does it on its own every day. Every swallow, every meal, every breath you take sends a vibration along the vagus path. It is the body's lullaby, sung in nerve signals. There are also hormonal messengers, substances like cortisol, the stress hormone, or leptin and ghrelin, which influence hunger. These two are shaped by your gut. Your bacteria can affect how much cortisol you release. They can influence when you feel full and when you crave more. It's not just your willpower, it's your inner chemistry. Even dreams may be touched by gut signals. When you enter deep sleep, your gut microbes shift subtly. Some studies suggest they follow circadian rhythms, a biological clock that echoes your own. They may even send signals that influence how well you sleep, and whether your dreams are peaceful or troubled. So you lie in bed, and your body is quiet, but your gut is still writing messages, not in paragraphs, not in sentences, but in tiny chemical notes sent upward to be read by the brain. And what does your brain do with this language? It adjusts, it shifts mood, it changes appetite, it alters the way you respond to the world. If you feel blue or irritable or strangely tired, sometimes the reason isn't in your mind at all. It may be in your belly. This doesn't mean you are broken. It means you are connected. The gut-brain axis is not a flaw or a mistake. It is a masterpiece of coordination. Your body has been practicing this dance since before you were born, and the steps continue. Every hour, every breath. You are not a machine with parts that work in isolation. You are an orchestra. Each section responds to the others. Each note resonates in many directions, and in that harmony, emotion is born. Mood, then, is not just the mind's invention. It is co-created by your thoughts, your environment, your history, and your microbes. And when you care for your gut, you nourish the very messages that shape how you feel. So how do you care for them? What do you feed the invisible voices that help you rest, think, heal? You feed them food, yes, but also rhythm, peace, presence. You'll learn more soon. But for now, you lie back, you breathe, and you imagine these messages flowing. Tiny molecules, tiny boats, carrying your story from gut to mind. No fanfare, no noise, just quiet messengers on a river of blood. This is how you feel before you even know why. This is how your body speaks. This is the language without words, but even this language has a beginning. A first moment when microbes arrived, set up camp, and began their lifelong dialogue with your body. Where did they come from, and what journey did they take to become a part of you? That story starts before memory, in the earliest touch, in the first sip, in the very first breath. Before you had thoughts, before you had memory, before you had even opened your eyes, you were being written, not in language, but in biology, in breath, in contact, in microbial exchange. The story of your microbiome began in darkness, in the warm, fluid world before the world. Inside the womb, you were nearly sterile. Your body floated clean, untouched by the microbial tides of Earth. But that peace was only temporary, because the moment you entered the world, everything changed. If you came through the birth canal, your mouth and nose were the first to meet the microbes of your mother. A soft flood of vaginal and intestinal flora greeting you like old friends. Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, Escherichia. They clung to your skin. They slipped into your throat. They settled in your gut like seeds in fresh soil. They did not hurt you. They claimed you. This is colonization, but not the kind from history books. This colonization is ancient, natural, necessary. It is the beginning of your ecosystem. If you were born via cesarean section, your first companions were different. They came from the air, from skin, from latex gloves and blankets, from the first fingers that held you. Still bacteria, still vital. Just a different beginning. A different trail through the forest. Your first hour outside the womb was a quiet frenzy of microbial arrival. They moved in quickly, and your body, soft and unknowing, welcomed them. Your gut became a nesting ground, its walls still raw, its immune system still learning, and the microbes helped teach it. They taught it tolerance, how to distinguish friend from foe. They taught it courage, how to prepare for invasion without harming itself. This education continues long after birth, but it starts in that first silent hour. Then came nourishment. Breast milk, the first true meal of most newborns, was more than nutrition. It was a message in liquid form. It contained live bacteria to build your microbiome. It contained human milk oligosaccharides, complex sugars you couldn't digest, but your microbes could. These sugars were like kindling, feeding specific bacteria like Bifidobacterium infantis, which in turn protected your gut lining and shaped your immune system. It was food for your guests, and by feeding them, your body fed itself. If you were formula-fed, your microbial path was different, perhaps slower to diversify, perhaps with different ratios, but still unfolding. Touch mattered too. Every skin-to-skin embrace, every kiss, every cheek pressed to shoulder, a gentle exchange of microbial travelers. Even the room you lived in, the dust in the air, the wood of the crib, the fur of a pet nearby, all played a role in writing your microbiome's early lines. These first colonizers didn't just stay for a visit. They built the foundation. They became your internal citizens, and they shaped how your body would respond to stress, to joy, to food, to fear. Animal studies have shown that germ-free mice, raised without a microbiome, develop unusual behaviors. Some are overly anxious, some don't respond to social cues. Some have altered levels of stress hormones. When these mice receive gut bacteria from normal mice, their behaviors begin to change. Their minds respond to what lives in their bellies. And in humans, the clues echo. Children born by cesarean may be at slightly higher risk for asthma, allergies, and certain immune conditions. They may also be more likely to develop anxiety or mood disorders, though much depends on the life that follows, not just the way it begins. Still, the foundation matters, and your foundation was built, not by you, but by your first moments, by milk, by breath, by the feel of another heartbeat against your chest. In the weeks that followed, your microbiome diversified as you explored the world with your mouth. With your hands, you collected more microbes. You found them in the dirt under your fingernails, in the bark of trees, in the slobber of friendly dogs, in the toys passed from child to child. Every encounter was an invitation, and your body learned from every guest. The immune system, still young and uncertain, was trained by these interactions. It learned not to overreact, not to attack everything new, not to mistake the self for the enemy. Your gut wall thickened. Your microbial community became more stable, more resilient, more complete, and with that completion came deeper influence. Your microbes began to shape your behavior in small but meaningful ways. They produced molecules that affected your developing brain. They influenced the way your body responded to stress. They may even have played a role in attachment, trust, curiosity. This is the microbial mind, not a mind that thinks, but a mind that molds. It doesn't decide who you are, but it helps. Decide how your body feels being you. It whispers through inflammation, through mood, through energy, through sleep, and even now, those early microbes may still live inside you. They've changed, yes, they've evolved. New ones have arrived. Some have gone. But like the first stones in a riverbed, they shape how the waters flow. Your gut is no longer a newborn landscape. It is a mature forest now, complex, interwoven, adaptable. But the roots were laid long ago, and just like forests, remember fire, and rivers remember flood. Your microbiome remembers beginnings. It remembers the first milk, the first fever, the first storm of antibiotics. It remembers, and it adapts. Your brain, your gut, and your microbes grew up together, and the relationships they formed in those early years continue to echo in how you digest, how you recover, how you rest, how you feel sadness, or safety, or joy. This is why trauma in childhood can echo so deeply. Because when the mind is shaken, the gut often trembles. And when the gut is unsettled, the mind may struggle to find stillness. But there is hope in this story, because relationships, even internal ones, can heal the microbes inside. You can shift, recover, rebalance. New species can arrive. Old patterns can soften. New dialogues can begin. The microbial mind is not fixed. It is fluid, and just as it was shaped by your earliest food, it can be reshaped by what you feed it. Now food, rest, peace, time, these are the tools to tend the roots. Because the story is still unfolding, and tomorrow your gut will still be listening. Still learning, still speaking. But what happens when this microbial harmony is disturbed? When the garden grows wild, and the signals it sends are cloudy or confused, that is where imbalance begins, and that is where we're going next. Some days, you wake feeling heavier than your own skin. Thoughts arrive slowly, as if swimming through fog. And sometimes, without knowing why, you feel sadness blooming quietly in your chest. Where does it come from, this invisible weight? Is it a memory, a lack of sleep, a distant worry rippling forward, or could it begin somewhere deeper, somewhere quieter, somewhere beneath the thoughts entirely? Could a mood begin in your gut? Tonight, we follow that question. We walk slowly through the science, not as scientists, but as travelers, curious about the weather inside our own bodies. Your gut, as you know, is home to trillions of microbes. Together, they form a balanced, complex ecosystem, your microbiome. But ecosystems can lose their balance when the mix of microbes shifts in the wrong direction, to many of one type, not enough of another, a condition called dysbiosis. Conform, it's not always dramatic. It doesn't mean something is broken, but it does mean the orchestra is playing out of tune, and this disharmony can echo beyond the gut. It can become inflammation, low energy, clouded thinking, or a subtle sadness that seems to have no name. Studies have found that people with depression and anxiety often have different microbiomes than those who don't. It's not just correlation. In many cases, microbial imbalance appears before the mood disorder does, and when the gut is rebalanced, some symptoms begin to ease. It's not a miracle, it's biochemistry, a conversation between the gut and the mind. Let's pause there, because that's a tender thought. That sadness may not be a personal failing. That anxiety may not be a flaw in who you are. They might be messages rooted in biology, asking to be heard in dysbiosis. Certain bacteria that usually live quietly may grow in excess. Others that normally calm inflammation may dwindle. This imbalance can increase the permeability of your gut wall, creating what's sometimes called a leaky gut. It's not truly leaking, but it does mean tiny molecules and proteins can slip into the bloodstream before they're fully processed, and the immune system, ever watchful, responds. It sends inflammation to address the breach. But inflammation doesn't stay local. Cytokines. The signaling molecules of inflammation can travel to the brain. They can pass through the blood-brain barrier or signal through nerves, changing how the brain processes emotion. In animal studies, introducing inflammatory cytokines has triggered depression-like behaviors. And in humans, elevated inflammation is often found in those experiencing chronic stress or persistent sadness. So the gut is not separate from your emotional landscape. It helps shape it. Certain bacteria help regulate the production of serotonin, dopamine, and GABA chemicals essential to balanced mood. When those bacteria are missing or overwhelmed, the supply chain gets disrupted. Your emotional chemistry becomes sparse, erratic, or delayed. It's as if the emotional signals lose their clarity, like a song played through a cracked speaker. Even sleep can suffer. And when sleep suffers, so do mood, memory, and decision-making. It's a quiet spiral that begins in your belly, but just as imbalance can lead to sadness, restoration can lead to relief. The body wants to heal, the microbiome wants to harmonize, and it doesn't take perfection, it takes gentle care. Certain strains of probiotics, live bacteria you consume, have been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression in both animals and humans. Lactobacillus rhamnosus, Bifidobacterium longum, Lactobacillus helveticus. These names sound strange, but their effects are profound. In one study, students who took probiotics for 4 weeks showed lower levels of stress hormones before exams. In another, participants reported improved mood and sleep after consistent intake of specific strains, and prebiotics fibers that feed good bacteria also help. They're found in garlic, onions, bananas, leeks, asparagus, apples, and oats. They don't feed you directly. They feed your microbiome, and a well-fed microbiome becomes your ally in emotional regulation. Even fermented foods, like yogurt, kimchi, kefir, sauerkraut, introduce beneficial microbes and enzymes that support digestive balance. None of this is a cure. Mental health is layered, complex, and deeply human, but it is one path. A path that begins at the core of your body, where the quietest cells begin to whisper peace back toward your mind. And beyond food, there is rest, there is rhythm, there is safety. Your microbiome flourishes when you slow down, when you breathe deeply, when your nervous system shifts from fight or flight to rest and digest. This isn't philosophy, it's measurable. When your stress decreases, gut motility improves, digestive secretions balance, beneficial bacteria increase. Your inner world responds to your outer one, and this makes healing a whole body experience. It means caring for your gut is caring for your mind. It means your emotions are not isolated clouds floating above your head. They are rooted in the soil of your body. So when you feel anxious, irritable, unexplainably blue, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what is my gut feeling? Not metaphorically, literally what is happening in your belly. Are you inflamed? Are you nourished? Are you being listened to by yourself? The gut holds memory. It holds mood. It holds microbes that speak 1,000 chemical tongues. And if you tend to them with kindness, they tend to you in return. This is not a shortcut. It's a relationship, and relationships take time. But over time, balance becomes your baseline. Calm returns, not as an event, but as a presence. And from that calm, resilience grows, not just in your emotions, but in your immunity, your metabolism, your dreams. And this is where the story deepens, because what you feed your microbes and yourself determines how the conversation continues. So what does food become when it's more than fuel? When it's a message, a gesture, a way of rewriting your emotional terrain? What happens when you feed the invisible you? There is a moment before the first bite, when your body leans forward with expectation, not just your hunger, but something deeper, the unseen life within you, waiting to know what you will send down the long, winding corridor of your gut. You are not just feeding yourself, you are feeding them, your microbes, silent, loyal, ever-shifting companions, read your food like a letter. They respond with chemistry. They reward or recoil. They adapt. Every meal is a message, and what you choose determines who thrives. Picture this: your gut is a garden and food is the weather. Sunlight, rainfall, drought, wind, every nutrient shapes what grows and what withers. Some foods plant seeds of calm and clarity. Others call up weeds of inflammation and confusion. The good news is you get to be the gardener. Let's begin with fiber. Not the kind that bulks up cereal boxes, but the quiet threads woven into fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. Fiber is not for you. You can't digest it, but your microbes can dot to them. Fiber is feast. It fuels the production of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, acetate, and propionate. These are not just leftovers. They're messengers. They lower inflammation, strengthen the gut lining, and even cross into the bloodstream to reach the brain. Butyrate, in particular, has shown promise in supporting mental clarity, reducing anxiety in mice, and calming the gut-brain axis. Think of it as a note of peace passed from the microbes to your nervous system. You find fiber in apples with their skins, in oats, in lentils, leafy greens, and the crisp joy of carrots. Each bite sends encouragement to the peacekeepers within. Then there are fermented foods, foods that are alive. Yogurt with active cultures, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, tempeh, miso. These foods carry friendly bacteria, probiotics that join your microbial symphony, like visiting musicians, adding harmony to your inner song. Some stay, some pass through, but as they move, they interact, influence, nudge the balance. They bring enzymes. They bring stories from older ways of eating, from traditions that knew fermentation wasn't just preservation, it was transformation. Even the sour tangs on your tongue is a sign of life rearranged by microbes. Then come prebiotics, the kindling for fermentation. They're the fibers your microbes prefer. Inulin, resistant starch, pectin, they're found in bananas, onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, and Jerusalem artichokes. Prebiotics don't speak to you directly, but your microbes respond with gratitude. They grow stronger, more diverse, more kind. They return the favor by calming your gut, brightening your mood, strengthening your immune rhythm. And yet, not all food brings ease. Highly processed meals, loaded with refined sugars, preservatives, and artificial additives, may feed different voices. Some bacteria, those less helpful kinds, thrive on sugar. When they bloom too large, they can crowd out the ones who calm inflammation and support emotional balance. And so, a diet high in ultra-processed foods may lead to dysbiosis, an imbalance that echoes upward as brain fog, irritability, or sluggishness. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy sweetness, but it means you listen to your body's reply. How do you feel after certain foods? How does your belly speak in the hours that follow? Your microbes are always answering. Even artificial sweeteners like saccharin or aspartame have been shown to alter microbial balance in some people, especially when consumed regularly. Their 0 calories are not zero impact. But food is not just nutrient. It is memory, it is culture, it is care. The goal is not restriction, it is relationship. Your microbes don't demand perfection. They flourish with rhythm, with diversity, with kindness. Even the act of chewing, slowly, mindfully, supports digestion and sends signals of calm through the vagus nerve. The process begins not in the stomach, but in the mouth, in smell, in saliva, in attention. When you eat slowly, your gut listens better, and when your gut listens, your brain hears more clearly. You might wonder, what should a day of mindful nourishment look like? There is no one answer, but imagine this: a breakfast of oatmeal topped with berries, a handful of walnuts, a spoon of flaxseed offering fiber, polyphenols, and omega-3s, a lunch of lentil soup, steamed greens, a slice of sourdough with olive oil feeding microbes and spirit alike, an afternoon snack of yogurt with live cultures, drizzled with honey, sprinkled with cinnamon, both delight and restoration, a dinner rich in roasted vegetables, quinoa, fermented pickles, and perhaps tempeh, a quiet feast for every layer of you. This is not a prescription. It is a possibility, one that welcomes color, texture, heritage, joy, even spices, turmeric, ginger, cumin, cloves, offer compounds that microbes respond to. Even tea, green, black, herbal, can carry polyphenols that nourish the gut lining. Water, pure and plentiful, keeps the system flowing, the soil hydrated, and rest. Rest is a kind of nourishment. Your microbiome follows circadian rhythms. It changes with the light, with your meals, with your sleep. Late night eating can disrupt microbial cycles. Sleep deprivation can alter microbial ratios. And so, when you nourish your sleep, you nourish them. This is mutualism, a quiet partnership between your choices and their responses. You feed them, and they, in turn, regulate inflammation, support neurotransmitters, protect your lining, and speak to your brain. This invisible you does not ask for applause, only attention. So listen to your cravings. Sometimes they are signals of imbalance. Sometimes they are echoes of habits. Sometimes they are genuine needs. Over time, your microbiome influences what you desire. It helps tune your instincts toward what helps you flourish. The more you feed the helpful microbes, the louder their voices become, and slowly you begin to crave balance, not as discipline, but as desire. You feel better, so you seek better. This is the arc of nourishment, not guilt, not shame. Just learning. Your body is always becoming. So tonight, as you lie still, let your last thought be one of care. What will you feed the invisible you tomorrow? What message will you write in breakfast? What poem will your lunch send downstream? And how, by dinner time, will your microbes respond? They will answer in mood, in clarity, in rest, and in the soft light of your next sleep. But who, you might ask, first discovered that these microbes shape the mind? Who were the explorers of this microscopic realm? And how did we come to know that thoughts and bacteria are forever linked? You lie still, your breath slow and even, your body melting gently into the mattress. But beneath your stillness, a quiet construction continues, a scaffolding of thought, of memory, of mood, and the builders. They are tiny, invisible, unseen by you, but shaping everything you are. Tonight, you meet the architects of thought. They do not hold blueprints. They do not speak aloud, but they mold the materials of who you become with every molecule they make, every signal they send, every path they help your brain lay down. Your microbes are not just passengers, they are designers. Let's begin with a question. What makes a mind? Is it memory, emotion, imagination? Perhaps it's all of these, and something more. How the mind is built from the body upward. And here's what we now know. Gut microbes influence this building process. Long before you could walk or read, they were helping shape your brains. Connections in the earliest years of life, your gut and your brain were in constant, whispering contact, not only through nutrients and hormones, but through a molecular language spoken in fragments of DNA, neurotransmitters, and training. Animal research gave us the first glimpse. Scientists raised mice in sterile, germ-free environments. These mice were healthy in some ways, but their brains told a different story. They had exaggerated stress responses, poor social skills, less curiosity. Their brains developed differently with changes in the hippocampus, a region vital for memory and learning. When these mice were given gut bacteria from ordinary mice, some of their behavior changed. They became more social, less anxious, more balanced. It was as if something fundamental had been restored. In other experiments, researchers took gut bacteria from mice showing symptoms of anxiety and transferred them into calm, healthy mice. And what happened? The calm mice began acting anxious. The message had moved from gut to brain, across species, through microbes alone. Human studies are newer, but the patterns echo. Identical twins share nearly the same genes. But if their gut microbiomes differ, so can their emotional landscapes. Some report more resilience, others more mood swings, not because of DNA, but because of microbial conversation. One twin might metabolize nutrients differently. One might feel more alert, the other more foggy. The gut shapes how we process the outside world, and it goes further in small trials. People who consumed certain probiotic strains saw changes not only in their mood, but in their brain scans. Regions linked to emotion regulation showed altered activity, quieter fear, gentler judgment, a bit more ease. Again, this isn't magic, it's biochemistry. Biology tuned by the invisible. You are not alone in your thoughts. Your microbes help guide them. They don't control you, but they whisper at the edge of awareness. They influence how you respond to stress, how quickly you recover, how sharply you remember, and perhaps even how connected you feel to others. This might seem unsettling, that your inner world is shaped by such small, unthinking things. But perhaps it's comforting too, to know that care, curiosity, and nourishment can ripple upward into your very mind. Let's look closer. Microbes help synthesize B vitamins, especially B12 and folate, crucial for energy, memory, and nerve function. They also break down amino acids like tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin and tyrosine, a building block for dopamine. Without these inputs, your mind would dim. Not catastrophically, but subtly. A little less color, a little more fog, and inflammation too is regulated by your microbes. When in balance, they keep your immune system from becoming overactive, because chronic inflammation can damage brain tissue. It can slow down signaling. It can create a kind of mental static, not loud but persistent. When your gut is calm, your immune system is quieter, and your mind can think more clearly. And in the hippocampus, the brain's librarian, where memories are filed and retrieved, microbes appear to influence neurogenesis. Yes, your gut bacteria can affect whether your brain creates new neurons. This was once thought impossible. Now we know your brain grows, prunes, and adapts throughout life, and your microbes may hand it the tools. Certain strains promote brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein that supports the survival of neurons and the growth of new ones. Imagine that. Your breakfast, your evening walk, your microbial balance, each contributing to whether your mind can learn, heal, and evolve. There are even hints in the study of autism spectrum disorder, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Researchers are exploring how microbial imbalance might precede symptoms, might contribute to the early tremors of illness before diagnosis ever arrives. The field is young. The questions are big, but the signs are clear. Your gut and your brain build each other. It is not top-down, it is not bottom-up, it is both. You are a dialogue. So what does this mean for your thoughts? It means that care ripples far, that tending to your microbes through nourishment, rest, and rhythm is also tending to your emotional landscape, your memory, your sense of self. It means your mind is not floating above your body. It is rooted in it, fed by it, formed by it, and in the dark folds of your intestines, an ancient conversation continues. Bacteria exchange genes. They evolve, they remember, and they continue to scaffold your experience of being alive. No, they don't decide what you believe. They don't write your dreams, but they help build the architecture those dreams live in, so the next time a thought feels strange, or a feeling arrives unannounced, pause. You might ask, is this mine, or is this a whisper from deeper within? You are not alone in asking, because somewhere in a lab, a researcher is peering into the microbiome of mice, or the stool samples of patients, looking for clues. Somewhere, a scientist is testing how prebiotic fibers might sharpen memory in elders. Somewhere, a twin wonders why she feels different from her sister, and a stool test begins to explain. And somewhere here, you lie quietly in the dark, carrying a universe inside you, and it is thinking, not with ideas, but with chemistry, not with words, but with structure. And you are the result. But how does your gut respond to more than memory? To something more primal, more immediate? What about love? What about fear? You've felt it before. The flutter just beneath your ribs when someone special walks into the room. The sudden drop in your belly when a car swerves too close. The twist, the warmth, the tightening, the sensations of love and of fear. Strange, isn't it, how emotions can begin so far from the brain? We say we fall in love. We say we feel sick with worry. We say trust your gut. But what do we really mean? Tonight, we follow that feeling. Not the emotion itself, but its pathway, the bridge between your thoughts and your body's deep response. That bridge has a name. It is called the vagus nerve, and it is one of the most important and least noticed structures in your body. It runs from your brainstem to your belly, passing the heart, lungs, throat, and most of your digestive tract. It's long, winding, and beautifully named. Vagus comes from the Latin for wandering, and this nerve does exactly that. It wanders through you like a traveler with no fixed address, carrying messages in both directions, from brain to gut, from gut to brain. Two-way traffic, open at all hours when you feel joy. Your brain sends signals down the vagus nerve. Relax, release, open. Your gut softens. Digestion resumes. The microbiome breathes. When you feel panic, your brain sends another message. Brace, tighten, prepare. Your stomach slows. Acid rises. Bacteria shift. But the gut is not passive. It speaks back. Through microbial metabolites, immune signals, and neurotransmitters. These flow upward along the same vagus path until they whisper in your brain's oldest, most instinctual regions. In this way, your gut participates in every emotion, and sometimes it leads. Fear may begin as a signal in the gut, an unfamiliar molecule, a hormonal shift, an imbalance the brain has yet to notice, and the gut says something is wrong. Pay attention, and the brain listens. It raises your heart rate, sharpen your vision, scan for threat. The vagus nerve is the messenger that makes it all possible. It is the body's peacekeeper, its early warning system, its channel of calm and of alarm. When it works well, you feel connected, centered, safe. Your heart beats gently, your breath is steady, your digestion hums. When it falters, you may feel stuck in fight or flight, anxious, for no reason, disconnected from yourself. But here's something beautiful. You can tone the vagus nerve. You can strengthen it, not with effort, but with care. Slow, deep breathing activates it, especially exhales, long, soft, deliberate. Singing, humming, chanting, laughing, all stimulate the vagus nerve through the muscles of the throat and voice. Even splashing cold water on your face can gently awaken it. As the body leans toward calm, meditation, mindfulness, yoga, nature walks, they don't just feel good, they signal your vagus nerve to open the gates of restoration. And when that happens, your gut becomes more than digestion. It becomes refuge. The microbiome responds. To your calm, beneficial bacteria multiply. Inflammation lowers. The inner weather clears. It's a feedback loop. One that begins where breath meets body, and love. Two is felt through this loop. Not just romantic love, but safety, belonging, connection. That warmth you feel when held, when seen, when loved. It's not all in your head. Your gut relaxes. Your vagus nerve carries the peace upward. Your brain responds with oxytocin, the hormone of bonding, and your microbes feel it too. The entire ecosystem softens in the presence of care. Even in grief, in loneliness, in heartbreak, your gut feels. The absence, it tightens. Your appetite may disappear or overcompensate. The microbiome shifts as though it too were mourning. You are not separate from your feelings. You are saturated in them. Every part of you is listening, and the gut listens first. It is the body's tuning fork, vibrating with each encounter, adjusting, rebalancing, predicting your needs before you've even named them. And microbes, those smallest citizens, ride the currents of these feelings. In love, they settle into harmony. In fear, they scatter or retreat. You and your bacteria are partners in emotion, and over time, this partnership shapes not just your days, but your development. Children raised in safe, warm environments often have more diverse, resilient microbiomes. Those raised in high stress or without consistent care may show changes in microbial balance that echo into adulthood. But again, this is not a sentence. It is a starting point, because safety can be reintroduced. The vagus nerve can remember how to rest. The gut can heal. The microbes can regrow, and you can feel whole again. This is why therapy, touch, nutrition, breath, and even music are all forms of healing. They send signals down that wandering nerve to say, you are safe now. It is okay to soften, and when you do, your gut opens, your microbes settle, and your brain begins to dream again. This is the quiet science of safety, of presence, of being seen by your own body. So tonight, as you lie here, feel the pull of the vagus nerve. Place a hand on your belly, breathe in gently, then exhale slowly, as though blowing across still water. Feel how your chest eases, how your gut loosens, how your body listens. That is your vagus nerve welcoming the pause, your microbiome drinking in the stillness, your entire self returning home. And when morning comes, your body will remember how to carry this calm into your waking world. But before the night ends, there is still one more place to visit, a quieter place, where the work of healing begins from the inside out, not just in thought, but in tissue, in chemistry, in change. What if your gut holds the key to repairing what hurts? There is a kind of healing that doesn't shout. It doesn't arrive in a rush or with ceremony. It comes slowly, like warm rain on dry earth, like moss returning to a stone, like breath, and often it begins in your belly. Tonight we visit that quiet place, not a place of action, but of restoration. Not a battlefield, but a garden reclaiming itself. For your body is not broken. It is not waiting for rescue. It is listening. It is responding. And within it, a kind of healing is always in motion. We begin with a simple truth. A balanced microbiome creates conditions for recovery, not only for digestion, but for the nervous system, the immune response, and even the emotional, whether you live inside. In recent years, researchers have begun to ask, can the gut help us heal from depression, from anxiety, from trauma? And again, the body answers softly, yes, not completely, not by itself, but as a partner, a foundation, a place to begin. Consider resilience, the ability to return after difficulty, to bend but not break. Some studies show that people with more diverse microbiomes have greater emotional resilience. They recover faster from stress. Their cortisol levels, the markers of stress, return to baseline more smoothly. This may be because a healthy microbiome modulates inflammation. Too much inflammation makes everything louder. Pain, sadness, fear. Clouds the mind, slows recovery. But when the gut is in harmony, it keeps inflammation within balance. It supports the immune system like a gentle guide, saying, respond, but do not overreact. This quiet moderation creates space for healing to happen, and healing is not always grand. Sometimes it's a better night's sleep, a slight shift in mood, an extra breath before reacting, a small choice that feels more like you. Your microbes support these shifts by making molecules that soothe the nervous system. Short-chain fatty acids, tryptophan metabolites, anti-inflammatory compounds. They're not famous names, but they do sacred work, like builders, reinforcing the soft walls of a shelter you live within. And when the shelter feels safe, your mind can soften too. Let's talk about trauma. Emotional trauma leaves marks not just in memory, but in the body. It can alter hormone cycles, immune response, and yes, gut function. Trauma survivors often experience digestive issues, bloating, discomfort, appetite changes. This is not coincidence. It is consequence. The vagus nerve, your body's great communicator, shifts into protective mode after trauma. And when it stays there too long, gut motility changes. Blood flow alters. The microbiome responds. Certain bacteria shrink. Others bloom in their place. And the signals traveling to the brain begin to echo the past rather than the present. But healing is still possible. In animal studies, mice exposed to early life stress show altered microbiomes. But when they are given specific probiotics, like Lactobacillus reuteri or Bifidobacterium longum, their stress responses diminish. Their social behavior improves. The gut changes and the brain follows in humans. There is early but promising evidence that supporting the gut may help support the mind. Through recovery, one small study found that participants with major depression who took a combination of probiotic strains alongside standard treatment experienced greater relief than those without the probiotics. It wasn't a cure, but it was a contribution, a thread in the tapestry of healing. And this points to a broader truth. Healing rarely comes from one direction. It is layered, woven, complex. The gut is one piece, but it is a powerful one, because when your microbiome is supported, you feel supported, you digest more calmly, you rest more deeply, you respond more gently, and over time, those changes become a rhythm. They become your new normal, your new baseline. So what supports that healing? You know the answers by now, but let's speak them softly again. Fiber found in fruits, vegetables, legumes, grains. It feeds the microbes that help lower inflammation and nourish your gut lining. Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, introduce new strains and enzymes that support balance. Prebiotics like onions, garlic, bananas, asparagus are fuel for the peacekeepers. Polyphenols, plant compounds found in berries, cocoa, green tea are antioxidants that support microbial diversity. Omega-3 fatty acids from flaxseed, walnuts, fatty fish, calm inflammation and support the gut-brain axis. But beyond nutrients, there is stillness, there is sleep, there is safety. Healing requires the body to believe it is no longer under threat. And that message comes through rhythm, through ritual, through tiny moments of choice. Even your thoughts play a role. When you hold a belief that healing is possible, your nervous system shifts slightly, your breath deepens, your shoulders ease, your gut releases its grip, and the microbes listen. They are exquisitely sensitive to their environment, and you are their environment. This is why gratitude, laughter, connection, and time in nature are not just nice. They are healing inputs. They shape your inner world as surely as any medicine. Even animals raised with more affection develop richer Love leaves a biological trace, and so does loneliness. But nothing is fixed. Even decades of imbalance can begin to shift with sustained care. Your microbes adapt, they regrow, they reorganize, they try again, and so do you. This is what healing looks like, not a leap, but a returning dot to rhythm, to balance, to self-dots. So tonight, as you lie beneath the blankets, Know that your gut is doing its work. Even in sleep, bacteria digest, repair, rebuild. Even now, healing happens. You are not alone in your recovery. You are supported from within, and the best part, you don't need to force it. You only need to allow it. Your gut already knows the way. And as healing begins, as inflammation quiets and messages clear, a new stillness emerges, a returning to peace, to clarity, to self-trust. And from that stillness, you can listen, not just to the body, but to the music it plays in dreams. Because even as you sleep, the conversation continues, and as the gut heals, the mind dreams deeper. The night becomes softer, and the ending becomes a return. But how does that return feel? What does it mean to truly come home to the quiet body? Now, you arrive at the end, though it doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like a return. To quiet, to breath, to the simple miracle of being here, in this body that has carried you all this time. You are not alone in the dark, not in your thoughts, not in your biology. Within you, an entire symphony continues. Bacteria moving, digesting, signaling, coexisting, without noise, without need, without pause. It does not ask you to notice. But now that you have, something is different. Now you know this stillness is alive. The journey through your gut was never just about digestion. It was about connection to your mind, to your mood, to your memory, to yourself. You have learned that emotions don't float above the body. They ripple through it. They begin in the folds of the gut, in the language of microbes, in the calm pull of the vagus nerve. You've seen how food becomes information, how breath becomes restoration, how healing begins in the quiet soil beneath. Your ribs dot now as you lie in bed. The work is not done, but you are allowed to rest. Your body continues its nighttime rituals. Your gut still moves at its own slow rhythm. Your microbiome adjusts to your last meal, your last thought, your last dream. You are never doing nothing. You are always becoming. Even in sleep, your microbes maintain a kind of circadian rhythm. They cycle, they communicate, they prepare you for morning while your conscious mind drifts. Your second brain tends to its garden. It is here, not in achievement, but in surrender, that healing deepens. This chapter is not about action. It is about letting go. There is no more to fix. Tonight, no more to understand. Only this: your body is wise. Your gut is listening. Your microbes are helping. And you are safe. Feel the pull of gravity underneath you, the bed beneath your back, the slow fullness of the inhale, the softer release of the exhale. This is your rhythm, your internal tide, the same tide your microbes know. Each breath shapes the environment within. Each night renews the landscape. Even your dreams are not separate from this biology. They are shaped by the chemistry of calm, by serotonin, by GABA, by the gentle chatter between gut and brain. Tonight, your dreams may be a little clearer, or slower, or simply kinder. Not because of magic, but because your body feels heard. Gratitude does not require grand gestures. It is enough to say, thank you, body. Thank you, breath. Thank you, bacteria. Thank you, me, for surviving, for resting, for learning how to listen again. This is science, and this is poetry, because what is more poetic than knowing you are made, not just of cells, but of relationships? You are a host, a habitat, a walking universe, and you carry all of this within a single, sleeping body. Let that knowledge wrap around you like a blanket. There will be more days, more meals, more moments of imbalance and return. But for now, there is only stillness and the soft certainty that you are supported from within. Somewhere in your colon, a bacterium breaks down a fiber into a message of calm. Somewhere along your vagus nerve, a signal flows toward your heart, and somewhere deeper still, in the parts of you cannot name, a peace takes root. You are not perfect, you are not finished, but you are whole. And as you sleep, your body does what it was always meant to do. It renews, it remembers, it rests. So let it. Let the thoughts grow lighter. Let the limbs grow heavy. Let the gut be tended by the tiny lives within, and let sleep come like a tide at dusk, quiet, certain, and full of life. The journey may end here for now, but your body's story, the one written in microbes, mood and motion, continues through every breath and every sleep. Thank you for listening inward.